Hello and welcome to another video. This one is completely different to what we normally do. We are looking at aliens, and I shouldn't laugh when I say that, because for some, seeing something in the sky can be rather confusing. Again, as forever, if you do like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. What is going on over Thurrock and Essex as a whole with the sightings in the sky? Over the last few months, if you've been on social media or in the local papers, you'll see there's just report after report of strange objects being seen over Thurrock. Not limited to sort of like Stamford Coronum. This is like Grays, Purfleet, Tilbury. And we're going to go through some of those, but also over the alien abduction in Aveley in the 70s. And we've done some research on that. And I want to say thank you so much to everyone that has helped me with the information for this video, not just on the Aveley stuff, but I put a post out on social media for just information about have you seen something. And I was thinking I was going to get ripped to shreds on social media like normal, and I was really surprised. So many of you come to me with your own experiences and what you've seen. And some of you I've known for years and you've never spoken to me about this. And, you know, it's really strange that there are so many, and so often, you know, they're very similar and not what you say in the movie type UFOs. And some of you sent me photos that I'll try and show on here as well. And, you know, those I haven't mentioned, I won't mention by name because I know you didn't want to be named. But yeah, I just thank you so much, and I hope it's going to make for an interesting video. So first of all, we're going to start off. I will say, I've next to me, because there's so many of them, I've written them down on a piece of paper next to the camera, and I'll go through them bit by bit, and then I have to turn it over. Also got some on my phone that you've sent me via Facebook Messenger and by email, and I'll go through them all and try and get as many on here as I can. I don't want to overdo the length of the video, mainly because at the moment I've only got 12 minutes of film left on my camera, and then I've got to change it over, but we'll start now. So September 1991, this is quite an important sighting because it links into something that happened a year later. So in September 1991, the completion of Dartford Bridge was just about to finish. I think it opened literally a month later. We had two workers that were actually on top of the bridge doing some work, and they actually had a break. And it was getting sort of like dusky, sort of end of day time. And they see this bright light, and they described it as a boomerang. And this boomerang hovered above the sky and for about 4 or 5 minutes, and they're staring at it, puzzling it, what could it be? And then it broke up into all pieces and then just literally shot off at high speed in all different directions. And they looked at each other, puzzled, confused, didn't really want to speak about it. And it wasn't until I put the information out here. The first time I mentioned this was actually back in 2013 when I first asked on social media about UFOs or something like that. And this was sent to me then. And it wasn't until I recently asked again on social media that someone else has come forward, and I really appreciate it because it's somebody that I trust wholeheartedly with their story. And this was over at Callaghass in Stamford-le-Hope, and this was in September 1992. We believe it's September 1992. And the same thing was that he'd come down outside and he looks up and there's this bright object in the sky and he's staring at it. And he describes it as a boomerang shape, and it was like incredibly bright. And one end of the boomerang broke off, and then it all shattered off into 7 separate pieces and just disappeared at a really fast speed. That just goes right the way back to what was said in 1991. Now, I thought it could have been the same thing, but these guys were working on the completion of Dartford Bridge. So they couldn't have got the year wrong because the bridge was open the year after and they were completing the bridge when they see this. And that falls right in line with the same object being seen in 1992, just further down the estuary. And it does seem pretty common that during those few years of 1991 to 1995, we see a lot of these sort of sightings along the estuary. Again, we don't know what is behind it, and I'm not going to sit and say that all UFOs are military or UFOs are aliens, and as you say, must be aliens. But we could go into a deep dive on the universe and how many planets out there could have lives, and it's been interesting. The Americans have released the information that they now believe that there is something going on. Now, their images that they showed you of the UFOs, or what do they call them now? Unidentified objects or something like that now, that they're calling them something different to UFOs because it brings feelings of Roswell back and all that sort of stuff, the Americans. But we'll stick to UFOs at the moment. But no, they've come out and said that they believe there is something out there that they can't explain. So now we're going to go forward to a little bit to another thing that happened in Alsip in December 1999 at 5 p.m. Now, this was a large crystal ball that was seen hovering over Alsip, and this was witnessed by quite a few people. And I know when I'd done the ghost hunt down there a little while ago, people asked me if I was going to cover this crystal ball of Alsip. And it's quite widely reported. It's been reported in newspapers. I know the police were called over this one. It was looked at by air traffic control. They couldn't find anything. So it's one of those ones that research has been done on it and they could never find an explanation. So that one is a large crystal ball hovering over Alsip. And then we go to 2001, again in Alsip, where a large crystal ball was said to have landed on a field. And this was witnessed by two people. Again, going back to what had happened the year before, they assumably thought, well, this is the same thing again. And were they going to tell people? Were they going to believe them? Again, they come forward years later to say they'd seen this. They've spoken to people in the local pub, told them about it. And again, I guess it's a bit of a common joke down there. Even when I was told about the story beforehand, people laughed when I was saying about it. But there's enough people there to say that they did see something. I know there's this thing about ball lightning. Does ball lightning exist or don't exist? No, there's no real evidence of ball lightning caught on film. Some of it that is out there is very questionable. Scientists have not been able to recreate ball lightning. So you have to remain quite open-minded. Nature's very weird and it can do things that we can never predict. So ball lightning could be an explanation for this, but this was a large crystal ball. So then we go to 2001 at Canvey, and this is at 1:15 in the morning. And a gentleman was coming out of work, and he see what he describes as a 7-foot silver dome hovering above the ground. I'm trying not to laugh. I'm sorry. No, I guess back in 2000, I say it's terrible. I shouldn't have laughed. I do apologise. So also in 2001 we go to Canvey, where a gentleman come out of work at 1:15 in the morning, and he see what he described as a 7-foot silver dome hovering above the ground, and it hovered there for a few minutes before shooting off, and what he describes as going up in the air in stages, so not shooting up but going up. And I guess nowadays we would say a dome. Now also what strikes me with that report, Canvey has a flying club for remote control aircrafts, and I've seen some of these really big aircrafts that they make, great big Spitfires and Concords and all that. I just wonder, could it be something that an enthusiast had done? But 1:15 in the morning, I'm not sure. I don't know if that would actually cover it. Now we go to 2013, and this was a local one to me. These were lights over Stanford Park. Now these were described as incredibly bright lights. They were 2 lights and they hovered around for about 10-15 minutes before shooting off at incredibly high speed in different directions. That's quite a common sighting of bright lights hovering around and shooting off. Now nowadays you probably think again it was drones or Chinese lanterns. The other day we had reports of these lights in the sky in Stanford, and they were posted on social media, and you're looking at them, and I really do believe they were either Chinese lanterns or drones, and if I can I'll find the footage and I'll put it in here for you to have a look. Chinese lanterns have been the root of all evil when it comes to UFO sightings. Most UFO sightings were Chinese lanterns in the early 2000s. It was a craze that we went through, and I think during the summer you looked out and there's always Chinese lanterns flying around in the sky, and now we ban them because of the risk of fire, which I guess is quite sensible. Not that sensible when it's middle of the winter and it's been chucking it down with rain, but common sense escapes some people, I guess. Okay, so now we've got August 2022 in East Tilbury. The same thing again, 2 bright lights in the sky shooting off at incredible speed, but then actually come back together and then shot upwards. A rather strange one. Again, you couldn't really confuse that with anything like Chinese lanterns, anything like that at all. Also during August we had reports in Chadwell of bright lights shooting across the sky. We had reports in Aveley of a bright object hovering in the sky before shooting off to the west. Then we had Purfleet, and that was September 2022, bright light in the sky shooting off to the Opera House. Now we have one on the 14th of October this year in Riverview, Chadwell, St Mary. Now this was at 6:45 in the morning, and she come out with her son early in the morning, and her son pointed up at the sky and asked her what the bright green object was. And we've got some photos that I'll put on here now for you, and they are quite strange. It's you can look closer and you can see that it's a bright green, I guess UFO shaped object. And yeah, it's quite a puzzling image. Now, could it be a reflection on the camera of the street light that's reflecting that green light? If it was that photo on its own, I would probably say yes. But the boy pointed the image out to his mum, and then she took the photo. It wasn't they took the photo and then they see the green object after. It was the green object, and now they described it as bright green. You can see from the photo it is a luminous green. It's quite a striking image. I don't really know how to explain that. It's not something I've really seen before, especially not local. It's quite a convincing photo. It's a local area, Riverview in Chadwell. Yeah, it's quite a bizarre photo, I think. And let me know your thoughts on that. I say it's fresh. It's been on the local social media pages, I believe. I'm not too sure that it was sent to me via private messenger, and she's very happy to talk about it and to tell me about it. And it's just a very strange photo. I can't debunk it. Apart, if it was just that photo and then they looked at it afterwards and went, oh, look at that green light, I would have thought maybe it was the LEDs reflecting the pixels of the digital camera and whatever. I can't say that on this, unfortunately. Then we go to the 4th of November 2022, where a gentleman and his wife are driving down the A13 early hours of the morning, where they see a light coming directly towards them around about 100 foot above the A13 before it shot off at an incredible speed to the left hand side of them. and then flew back over the head before into two separate entities and then shot off in different directions. Again, another strange incident. And it's just, there's so many. Honestly, if you could just go back over your own social media, if you live in Thurrock, there's just been loads and loads of reports over the last 6 months. I don't know what is so important around this area, that if it's military, what they're interested in. I know that there have been military exercises across the world that our military have been involved in, and they've been coming to and from. But if they were jets, it'd be rather loud. I know that we have regular aerial photography taken of the DP World development to update their images and their website, and the A13 development. We've got a lot of development going over in Thurrock, so their maps and all that are updated quite regularly. Is that something that could be causing it? These reports tend to be at dusk or during the night. We have a couple that are during the day, but I guess it's harder because they're not bright, and I think even things like air balloons can be perceived to be something that they're not during the day. Even so, I guess at night time, going up in the air. I know in Kent, when they have those early morning air balloon launches, loads of people report seeing UFOs, and they have to reassure them it's not, especially if you have a 100-foot Duracell battery flying up in the air. Some of them are quite ridiculous, but so again, just keep in mind, and if you do know any reports, let us know, because these reports have been looked into by the police. Some of the people that have made these reports to me are people that we all know if you're local. They are regarded in high stature in some of them. One of them is a police officer. There's army there that are said to see it, and it's just quite strange that at the moment we seem to be having quite a lot of aerial phenomena in Thurrock. And we've also I had a little dig over other websites locally, and it's the same in like Colchester, Basildon, Southend. There seems to be a lot going on in our area at the moment that we can't explain. I do think that a lot of them were reported in the summer, and we had such a dry summer as well that the sky was often clear, and people may misjudge them for things like the space station or satellites. There is that element to it, but that can't answer for all of them. I guess if you're not used to standing out late at night in a clear sky for a length of time, you don't realise how many objects are up there that sort of float around. Every 5 minutes, was it Del Boy, when you holds the phone up, wait a minute, there's another satellite coming over, when he's trying to do the mobile phone. But you can literally look and see a satellite passing overhead most of the time if you look carefully. Obviously you have things like meteors that can fall down at any time, and I've seen one that was extremely bright, and I wondered where it was, and lucky enough someone else has seen it. When I put it on social media, went, oh yeah, I see that, here's a meteor. And there tend to be a little bit of dust that burns up in the atmosphere that comes down. Some of them end up with pebbles on the ground or something like that. But again, there's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, tonight, for the first time, I don't know, it's really rare at the moment, tonight you can see every planet in the sky, which is really rare. Often some under the horizons, right? But tonight every planet is visible in the sky. And if you don't know what planets are, I know Venus is mistaken for a UFO by airplane pilots when they're not used to flying at night. So it's just things like that we have to be aware of. Now we can move over now into Aveley and the Aveley alien abduction. Okay, so now we come to the Aveley abduction of 1974. Now, if it looks a bit different, I've had to have a break. I've had to free some memory up on my camera, and the lighting may be different because I've got my laptop shoved down here. Because what I'm actually going to do, I'm actually going to read you a report that was done in 2012, based on the story. Now, the alien abduction is actually a book as well, so they wrote a book about it and it's been published. We're going to be looking at the original story that was put out there, not the book version that may have been changed over the years. I do not know. But I'm going to read the report out to you and try and give you some nice photos to look at while I do. Otherwise, you'll just see me staring down at the glasses and you'll just see my bald head all the time. So to save that embarrassment of you, I will just look down and show you some photos while I read the report. The alleged abduction that occurred near Aveley in Essex in 1974 is intriguing because it involves the abduction of the entire family, something that is relatively rare in the field of UFOs, and yet it isn't as well known outside UFO circles. John and Elaine Avis, aged 29 and 25 respectively, have been visiting relatives at nearby Harold Hill on the 27th of October 1974. Along with their 3 children, Kevin, Karen and Stuart. They left at 9:50 and there was a TV programme on John wanted to see, which was due to start at 10:20. That half an hour should have reasonably given them plenty of time to drive just a few miles home. On the drive home, Karen and Stuart were asleep at the back of the car, but 7-year-old Kevin was awake. He was in fact the first one in the family to notice something out of the ordinary, when he saw a blue oval light travelling alongside the car. As they approached Aveley, the light passed in front of the car and vanished. It was now 10 o'clock and the family were getting concerned as things were starting to get rather strange. All the noises in the car seemed to have stopped. The car radio began to smoke and John was trying to rip it out. A block of green mist had enveloped the car. They drove out a particular fog bank and things returned to normal. When they reached home, John stayed in the car and tried to put the radio back in. Elaine took the children indoors to put them to bed. She was shocked to find it was now 1 in the morning. The family were very tired the next day, but decided not to put any significance on their strange homeward journey. Over the next few months though, their lives took an unexpected turn. John had a nervous breakdown just before Christmas, which forced him to give up his job. John, who previously had trouble reading at school, suddenly improved. The whole family, except Stuart, turned vegetarian, and curiously they said they were now put off by the smell of meat. John had previously been a heavy smoker, but now abstained from cigarettes completely. There was also some unnerving incidents around the family home. Objects went missing from the house. A loud droning noise was heard, usually after midnight. Peculiar clicking noise heard in some of the rooms. The telephone also said to have acted oddly. UFO witnesses often spoke of strange phone calls or odd clicking noises on the line, somewhat similar to when a phone is tapped perhaps. One of the children claimed to have seen a man dressed like a clown standing beside his bed. Oh my god, that would just freak me out completely. As you don't know, I've got a fear of clowns. That would completely freak me out. I'd be moving. I would stay in the house now. Seriously. By the middle of 1977, the family decided it was time to get some closure on the strange events of October that night. They contacted UFO investigators Andy Collins and Barry King. Johnny Lane told them they had experienced vivid weird dreams since that night, often concerning strange creatures and hospital operating theatres. The couple agreed to undergo hypnosis, and they revealed the almost textbook alien abduction scenario. Their car had been pulled upwards by a beam of light. Once aboard the strange craft, they were medically examined by 4-foot-high creatures who resembled birds. Taller entities were wearing one-piece suits and balaclava-style helmets, seemed to be in charge of the ship. If you want a classic UFO case with all the right ingredients in one place, then it seemed that the Aveley abduction is it, even down to the creepy incidents at the family's home. It's far from the usual UFO witness reports, subsequent poltergeist activity afterwards. In all, a very intriguing case. I also found that reading up further about this case, that John had previous UFO sightings whilst driving one night in 1968. Again, this isn't unusual. Witnesses can sometimes have lifetimes of sightings behind them and may even be prone to unexplained physical phenomena. So yeah, it's a rather strange case, the Aveley abduction. And now I put this on there, the original post I put on social media was, does anyone know anyone who was involved in the Aveley abduction? Could they might put me in contact with them? I didn't get no contact with them. I got contact with people that were around them, that were very aware of the strange things that happened in the house afterwards. And all I can say that the people I've spoken to from Aveley, who lived in Aveley, say that this family was 100% convinced that this had happened to them. And this abduction was really real to them, and it affected their lives for many, many years. Now, even from 1974 to 1977, they were living with this so much that they went to seek help. And it wasn't as if they've gone off looking for fame from it. Okay, a book has now been made about it. I'm not sure when that book was published. What I would be interested to know, 1974 to 77, what was the films out at that time? I'm not sure when things like Close Encounters of the Third Kind was after that, wasn't it? But yeah, it'd be good to have a look at what sort of films were around the cinema at that time, see if there's any social influences that could trigger these vivid dreams or anything like that. But I guess for me, it's that time gap, and the young child was confirming that something had gone on, and obviously he's grown up with those beliefs with him as well, that he actually see this. And I'm not going to say he didn't. It's that scenario where someone has had something happen to them, or they believe something has happened to them, and it's very, very real to them. We may look at it from the outside and laugh, but by what you've all told me, it's really impacted. It destroyed their lives. I understand one of them is no longer with us, but it's, you can't just throw these things away. We can look at explanations of mental health or something like that, but this was a whole family that was involved in it. I'm sure that if the parents were running around saying that they can hear ticking in the house, the kids would be the first ones to say, no, you're making it up, I can't hear nothing. And by all accounts, other people were in the house and heard this as well. One of the gentlemen that commented to me on my post has turned around and said he knew the family well, and they weren't that type of family that would ever make anything up. Now, I will go back over Aveley. It's got quite an interesting history with UFO sightings. Now, we did mention, I did see there, 1968, that John had seen a UFO. I'm also aware that there was a big thing in Aveley once, around that time, regarding what turned out to be a hot air balloon, where many, many people were convinced that it was a UFO, but it just turned out to be a hot air balloon. And that was an investigation that had to go in and be checked out what it was, and the authorities come back and said it was a hot air balloon. I also know that in 1976, another UFO was seen over by Bellis, which is between Aveley and Ockenden, and this was seen to be hovering along the road. I'm guessing at the time the M25 wasn't built, so it would have been a flat field between Ockenden and Aveley. This UFO was hovering over the area, and it was seen by around about 20 people. They all see it shoot off straight up. And again, these are the things that you can't just say you're making it up. There's 20 people there that all say they saw the same thing. And we are in a day and age now where I guess we understand more about technology, drones that can shoot off and do anything like this. Did military have that sort of technology back then? Probably. Though things take a long time to come into commercial use. But alien abductions, I don't know where I stand on them. I find it very hard to believe about alien abductions. Let me know your thoughts on that. It's a strange case, but there's a lot of you that have come to me to confirm that you believe that they were telling the truth. That's not saying that you believe their story, but you believe that they were telling what they believe to be the truth. And there's a big difference there. All I know right now is that in Thurrock, we are getting so many reports of UFOs. And looking back on just a quick research of a few weeks I've been looking into this, there is so many reports over a number of years, but increasingly more popular and common right now. So we've had a hot summer, we've got wars going on, we've got problems in politics and governments, and is there something that maybe, if we are being observed by aliens, that they take more notice when we're close to, hopefully not nuclear war? I know when things with the Cuban Missile Crisis happened, there was a lot more jittery about aliens and people reporting seeing things in the sky and all that. And just after World War II, after the atomic bomb was dropped, again, very regular reports of UFOs. So I don't know. I don't know where I stand on UFOs. I do believe that there's life out there. Aliens, what we'd call aliens. I believe there are definitely life forms on other planets. With the billions of planets out there that are Earth-like, that we now know, and in that small section of the universe that we can study properly, we know that there's planets out there that can support life. And if you just talk outside our galaxy and the observable universe, there's hundreds of billions of life-like planets, Earth-like planets out there. And it'd be a scary thought if we were on our own. I'd hope there's other life out there. One day we may find it, and it may be on a moon near or a planet near. I don't know. Are aliens looking at us now? I would probably put my bets on that it's more military organisations or secret military organisations that maybe we don't even know about. Maybe the governments don't know about it. If the Americans are saying that this thing that bombed across the sea that they were tracking, they have no idea what it was, then that's rather concerning, because all their systems have to detect things wasn't picking it up. It is visually sighted, it did show up on the radar, but where did it come from? We've got pilots. You speak to regular flyers, any aircrew, they will tell you that they see strange things in the sky. And although one of them was a drone like Superman, someone made a drone in the image of Superman that was seen over, I think it was LA or New York, one of those things. So you do get strange things go on. Again, with technology the way it is now, and gizmos and gadgets that we all have, I guess it's going to be hard to find that reality of what is true. Just look at all the new drone stuff, where these drones can make all the pictures, words and images in the sky now. That's can you imagine if they made the shape of a UFO and flied it around over the UK for like 6 hours? We'd all be convinced we've been invaded or something like that. It's an interesting time. Keep your eyes peeled on the sky. If you do see anything, just let me know, make a note and report it. The police get a lot of reports about UFOs, and the best thing about they can be checked out with the aviation lot. They can tell you if there's anything nearby. You can even go onto the websites yourself and see if there's a plane flying nearby. I know that I've seen something that I believe was a unidentified flying object. I had a friend with me. We was on a balcony over in Corringham, watching over towards One Tree Hill, and this thing come over, quiet. I can't explain it. My friend couldn't explain it. We went in. As I said before, our partners thought we'd seen a ghost because we was pale white. Don't know what it was. It definitely wasn't the space station. Yeah, it was very bizarre. So I tried to keep open-minded about it. If you're interested in this, I have another video that I will link in the description. It was with Neil Nixon, who used to be my old media studies teacher, but he's very well known on the UFO circuits, and it's quite an interesting video. Skip the first bit, it's just me moaning at him for not getting the good marks in media studies, but after that we get into talking about aliens and yeah, all that sort of stuff. So you may enjoy that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts. Please share it on social media, share it on to YouTube. I've had a bit of an issue with using some of the words I used in my last video. YouTube didn't like, so it cut down the amount of people that could share my video or something like that. It just didn't get the views that it normally would have got. Yeah, so YouTube has changed the way that things are shared about now. So if you can like it, subscribe it, hit the bell, share it about, it really helps me. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.